John says that I got one last qualification that permits me to testify to the goodness of God. He said, I told you I grew up with Jesus. I dropped my net and followed him. I made following Christ a family affair. I stayed close to Jesus to get those special privileges. But the last qualification, John says, is no one else can tell my story but me. John says, in fact, I was kept alive just to tell my story. And the Holy Spirit sent me an email and said, Pope, I want you to research exactly what was going on in church history during the time that the Gospel of John was being written. So I got on to Google what was going on in the history when the Gospel of John was being written. And my research turned up some interesting facts. You mind hearing them? During the time that John wrote this gospel, the Christian church, thanks to Paul and his 3 missionary journeys, had grown significantly throughout Asia. The church was multiplying at a rapid pace. And at the time, Matthew, Mark, and Luke had already written their own accounts of the Messiahs. However, there were several inaccurate and non-credible accounts of the life of Jesus that were also in circulation. As a matter of fact, the entire New Testament of the Bible had already been written except for 5 books. Can I tell you what else my research turned up? That John was the only disciple to not die by martyrdom. Out of all 12 disciples, John was the only one to die naturally. Peter, he died by crucifixion with his head down. James, the son of Alphaeus, was crucified. Andrew was crucified. Philip was crucified. James, the brother of John, was beheaded. Bartholomew was skinned alive and beheaded. Thomas was speared to death. Matthew was slain with an halberd, which is a long-handled axe. Paul was beheaded. Simon was sawed, and Judas committed suicide. And I asked myself, 11 disciples were martyred to a tragic end. Lord, why did John not suffer like the rest of the disciples? Why was John preserved? That's what that was, preservation. Now, why did you preserve him from such agony? And God told me, I needed a testimony written to be shared with the world. I preserved John so that he could be the writer of those 5 remaining books of the Bible. The Gospel according to John, John 1, John 2, John 3, and the book of Revelation. So my brother, my sister, what has God preserved you to do? Why has he kept dangers seen and unseen from causing you to fall to your demise? The answer is my 5th and final point. God has kept you because no one else can tell your story. He kept you because nobody else can tell about the hell you've been through. He kept you. How nobody else can tell you how he can be a healer. He kept you. Woo. I recall personally, this ain't even in here, but at 13 years old, I was laid up in a coma on my birthday. But he kept me just so I could be here at 10:45 this morning to tell you that he is a healer.